Okay, welcome to the Trauma Triple Take. We are your
Woohoo!
hosts. My name is Margaret. We have Amber and we have Mel. We're here to answer any and all questions about trauma, as well as to kind of delve into what is trauma, how do we know when we've been traumatized or we have an issue with trauma, and how does that show up in our lives. We just want to, well, Amber, you had something you wanted to say about our previous live stream.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank everybody for the support, whether you were there when we were actually live or if you watched the video after, the subscribers, the views, just we really appreciate it. That was really cool. We didn't know what to expect for our first live, and we just really appreciate everybody's support and just thank you for all of that. And if you haven't subscribed, don't forget to do so if this is your type of content. But yes, I just wanted to say thank you. We really appreciate anybody who's following, watching, all of that.
And
We're
even
gonna
if
make
it's
you
not, even
right.
if it's not your type of content, please do it anyway.
I was like,
If
we're
you
gonna
like,
make you do it against your will.
if you like us at all, please do it.
Okay.
So, so yeah, today we're just going to kind of delve into a few topics, talking about kind of what is trauma, and we're gonna go through a few like myths. Oh,
So sorry.
gosh,
Oh my gosh.
Amber.
I'm sorry.
So we're gonna go into some myths and truths about trauma, just to see kind of where our knowledge base is and where we all are. So, I'll start with the first one. Common myth about trauma. So first, before starting kind of like this little segment, I just want to preface kind of where this thought process came from. So for me, when I was going through my trauma recovery journey at the very beginning, I didn't realize that the things that uh, affected me how they did. And so the things that I thought were just issues I've had in the past, those, how do I explain? Those were the things that the traumatic memories that I was dealing with. So for me, it was hard to distinguish the things that happened to me as just things and past events versus trauma. Once I was able to put the emotion to the experience, then I realized how deeply it affected me and how it showed up in kind of different, unexpected areas and ways. So
Hmm.
that's kind of where we're coming from with this thought process.
Well said, Margaret. Well said.
Oh, thank you, because it felt like gibberish to me.
I got it.
Okay, so um, myth or truth? If I'm functioning, I can't be traumatized.
Myth.
Definite. Exactly.
I
Yeah, that
function
is
all the
definitely a
time.
myth.
What are you talking about? Yeah.
Yes. And many of us can actually become super high functioning. So
Hmm.
we kind of overachieve or, find our self-worth in productivity. Um, so some of the symptoms and signs of that can be constant busyness, inability to be at rest, perfectionism, people pleasing, which we talked about in our last episode, and feeling exhausted but unable to slow down. So those are some of those like signs, um, little warning signs that, if any of those kind of hit home to you, that maybe there's an element of that that can come from your past.
Absolutely.
So, does anybody want to do a separate little activity called green flag, red flag?
Ooh.
Well,
Well, first, wait, before we move on, yes, I do want
please,
to. I just want to say,
please.
as far as like what you just said, um, I think it's worth diving into that a lot of people, because you kind of hinted at it, but just that a lot of people don't even know when they're traumatized. Like it's just really, I know that like for me personally, I didn't even somebody who's like always interested in psychology, I never really like understood like what trauma really was, like what it meant, how, where it stemmed from and all those things. And so it wasn't until later dealing with trauma that I even like went backwards and like, I started realizing all these things from like childhood, and I was like, oh, like okay, like I did had no idea. So I think a lot of people, just because you can be a high functioning, person when you have trauma, I mean, along with depression, all those other things, anxiety, it's just really common, I think, that people don't acknowledge or they don't know. And sometimes we compare, right? We're like, well, this person has it way worse than me, so who am I to complain? Like I don't want to be a victim. And so I just think it looks like all kinds of different things, and it can be hard to identify, for sure. So I just want to say that because you had kind
Yeah.
of, we
In
don't
that,
always we I feel like it's easier to deal with things as they come, and we're just kind of doing what we can to survive and get through every day, and we don't necessarily like reflect and think like, wow, okay, I've been through some trauma and it's affecting me in these ways. So I just want to say that.
something
Yeah,
that
I
I
appreciate that.
I want to add to that too is I can't remember who said it, but I remember reading like nobody walks through life without some form of trauma. Not all traumas are equal,
Exactly.
but everybody carries something. And so while you might not see it, that's okay. Like that's just to let you know, like, hey, something else might be going on that you might be responding to that you don't realize you're responding to that is creating these behaviors for you. And if it becomes a problem, that might be something to explore.
Yeah, I think that's a very good way of putting it. Yeah. And like we talked about, like it comes up in unexpected ways. So I know for me, it was very much like the overreaction to a small situation, a small argument, kind of taking that over to the next level or escalating things that really don't warrant it. Um, Not until much further down in my journey did I realize that that was really a traumatic response and how to address it, deal with that trigger, and then move forward in a more healthy way. So great
Absolutely.
job,
And I
guys.
think another thing that a lot of people, because I know multiple people I can think of, who don't think about the trauma, but they have like anger issues. They get angry very easily, or more so than they get more angry than the situation requires, and a lot of times I would say probably more men, just from stuffing things down and not dealing with it and not wanting to be. And that's not a bad, like I'm not saying that to be like
No.
we all do it. Like I'm not I just like I'm thinking of, I guess, the examples in my head of the specific people. I'm like, I think that they just, for them at least, they feel the need to be, more macho about it, or more just like, well, everybody goes through shit. It is what it is. Like, and not realizing that they're stuffing all of that and it comes out in bursts of anger. So,
Yeah.
hmm Yeah. And in my experience too, it was I very much identified with that phrase of like other people have it worse. Everybody's been through something, and that was while that is true, that was definitely a way for me to minimize my own experience and to just
Yeah,
say like,
absolutely.
well, why do I have the right to cry? You know what I mean? Other people are starving, other people are going through inexplicable trauma, and yeah, they are. But you do still have the room to cry, and it's okay to cry, and it's okay to feel what you're feeling. And so now that's different. But I think especially too with men, in the United States, I can't speak for other cultures, but
yeah, that's true.
we
Yeah.
are like anger is one of those emotions that men are allowed to express, right? Because
Mhm.
men are told here that, it's not okay. You're not man enough if you cry. You're not
Yeah.
macho enough, like all these things. So I think those things kind of like take on another life when it comes to trauma in some ways. Um,
Yep. It's
when
like
that initial response is anger.
Yeah. It's like the more acceptable way to show your trauma or deal with it, I guess,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah,
unfortunate.
exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anyway,
So, we do have a little game we can play. It's called Green Flag, Red Flag. So, does anybody want to go? Give our first green flag, red flag.
wait, so how is this gonna go?
So, what I was thinking is we can do, you know, you give me a green flag, or you give me a statement, and we'll tell you if it's a green flag or a red flag. How does that go? How does that feel?
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna start. So, I need a night to recharge. Is that a green flag statement or a red flag statement?
That's a green flag.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Acknowledging that you need time to recoup, rest, step away from whatever you're doing. That is a healthy sign. What were we going to say, Mel?
I feel like there's a caveat in there too. Um, Mainly because it is a green flag, but adding a time frame, like
Hmm.
making sure that that person knows, like, hey, this is all about some other stuff, and I just need tonight to be about me so that I can get some new energy and feel better for tomorrow. Like, I know it says I need a night, but making sure you add a time frame. Like,
Yeah,
time
that's
frames are
fair.
important.
And also, if you're dealing with like a relationship or anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
reinforcing that um, like reassurance of saying like this is because of me, it's not because of you. And it helps that other person know that it's so that I can show up as a better me for you,
Yeah,
for both of us. Like it's
absolutely.
so that I can show up as my best self. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like that putting on the oxygen mask for yourself first, because you can't, it's harder to help others when you aren't taking care of yourself first.
Absolutely. Yeah. Speaking of, another statement. I haven't taken a day off in months because I feel guilty whenever I do. Red
Red
flag,
flag.
green flag.
Red flag. You
Yeah,
should,
definitely.
like,
But very common.
right? It is very common, but ultimately, you are separate from your work and you shouldn't feel guilty for taking a day off. Like, things will still exist even after you have taken time to take care of you.
Yep, exactly. And I think too, what comes to mind immediately for me is mothering, being a mom, is j prioritizing yourself amongst the feelings of mom guilt that you have of, I only get so much time with my kid, they need me. I only get so much time with my family, they need me. You know, uh, it's really important for me to on the ground and play with my kids. It's really important for me to have this one-on-one time with my kids or with our family. But at the same time, when you're not able to show up as the you that can do those things and be present,
Yeah.
then it's not helpful.
Okay,
It's
then. Can we also talk about, like, raise your hand if you've done it though?
Oh, 100%. Yes.
Like,
100%.
how I think everybody goes through that phase where they're like feeling guilty about taking time off work because they have so much to get done or so many things that are expected of them, and there's just never enough time. But you only get one life. And like,
Mhm.
really try to remember that time is finite and you should take the time for you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and two, like, being a nurse and working with other nurses and your entire job and your career is about other people, which is
Oh
good. That's
yeah,
what we sign up for. However, the burnout that can come with that is real.
Yeah.
It's real.
absolutely.
And, you know, especially when times are short, I'm like thinking back to COVID and how all that was, you know, taking time for yourself was non-existent. There was not exactly like there was a plethora of PTO being handed out. So but you
Fair.
do still have to find ways to care for yourself in those moments. You do, or else the care that you give to others, isn't what you could give, and it isn't, authentic to who you are as a person too.
I
Absolutely.
will say that there is another side to that spectrum though, which I personally have been guilty of taking too much time, um, just because it's like, oh, I'm not, I'm too depressed today. It's kind of getting stuck in that like depression cycle of just, oh, I can't do it today. And so not, I'm sure most people or the majority are where it's harder to actually take a day off for yourself, but I just have to speak for myself, and I'm sure there are other people
Oh,
who
absolutely.
definitely
Absolutely.
it's not like on purpose, it's not like a malicious thing, it's just sometimes it's easy to get stuck in that mindset, in that just depression, and having a hard
Yeah.
time and just being like, no, I need another day. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, like there's a balance like of taking care of yourself, but also realizing, hey, I have responsibilities, and not getting too far like in that downward, um I can't think of the right word, like
Spiral.
Like spiral.
yeah,
Yeah.
like downward spiral, like yeah, just like that low mood, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, and I feel
I
like
think,
sorry. I feel like there's two separate sides to that too. Like you end up with like both come from discomfort or not wanting to feel discomfort by
Yeah,
being like, oh, I'm going to take some time off. You are feeling discomfort because you feel like if you take time off, you're not needed. But if you are the other side of that, by engaging, you're feeling discomfort because you have to show up and be
yeah,
present. And both of those are the same root. Like they both come from a place of not wanting to feel discomfort.
it's a good point.
yeah, that's very well put. And thank you, Amber, for addressing that like alternate perspective too, because like depression is so real and so many people struggle with it. And that inner strength that you have and have to like pull yourself like up out of the bed, up off
Hmm.
the couch, whatever the thing is, to take the next step and take a shower, or to like,
Yep,
that is so much strength that I think a lot of people don't really speak about. Um, you can't just like do it and feel better. Like
exactly.
that whole thing of like, oh, have you just tried not to be depressed? Like that's not how that works.
Yeah,
But the
think of
strength that it
women have done
takes,
that already. Jeez.
exactly, but the strength that it takes to really like, no, I literally have to get up. I literally have to feed myself, like whatever it is that, yeah, that's huge.
Well, and sometimes it's just about, okay, I don't mean to minimize anybody's experience. Sometimes it is legitimately as simple as just doing the thing, like
Hmm.
not thinking about the thing.
True.
Hmm.
And what I mean by that is like I mean I also struggle with these things. Like I'm not exempt from this situation. Like I get completely overwhelmed with the idea of showering sometimes because I think of all the mini steps that have to occur before I do the shower itself. And that entire process, just thinking about it sounds exhausting. And I'm like, meh, I'm not going to do that. That sounds like this is way more exciting to just sit here and play my phone and watch TV. Like,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
sometimes I legitimately have to be like, okay, I'm getting up right now and just moving and doing
Hmm.
the thing and not thinking about it. And by the time I get in the shower and I'm like, ugh, like this
Yeah.
sucks. At least I've gotten in the shower and I'm starting to do the thing. And I'm like, well, I might as well finish it, you know?
Yeah.
Hmm.
But it really is sometimes just about getting like when you don't want to go hang out with friends or you don't want to go out to dinner with your family or like sometimes it is beneficial to just do the thing. You don't
Yep.
always have to do it, but sometimes it is beneficial to just do the thing and not think about it.
Agreed. And as an overthinker, a chronic overthinker, I definitely relate to that. Like sometimes I just have to, it's like, nope, don't go down that spiral of overthinking every little thing. Because it's like it's not only a shower, right? It's like I have to pick out what I'm gonna wear, I have to shower, I'm gonna have to do my hair, I'm gonna have there's everything else that you have to do with it, which I mean, if it's a lot when you're dealing with like depression and stuff. Like it can be overwhelming.
Absolutely.
That's the word. Like it becomes overwhelming when you think of all those things, all those steps that you have to do also. Um
I have to deal with the
yeah.
gross state
Yeah, you
of
just
I
being
gotta
half
know.
endure
dry,
it.
half wet. Ugh.
Yeah. So I kind of wanted to like I don't know, I guess delve into we're talking about trauma, we're talking about kind of where we started in our journeys.
Yeah,
So what was the thing that kind of helped you realize that you were traumatized? Was it as simple as you had gone through a really traumatic situation and then you were kind of dealing with remnants of that and then started your trauma recovery? Or was it kind of something a little more subtle where you had, some other thing happen? Like, what was that journey like for you?
absolutely. Do you want me to go first, Amber, or do you want to
You
go?
can go first.
Okay. Um, for me, um, I forget the PC term, but so forgive me. But I when I was younger, had like how do I, it's like CCSA, like
Okay.
child stuff. And that was a pretty big catalyst for my life. I was about 5, and she was somebody that I thought I was deeply in love with at the time, and I didn't realize what was going on. And it was a pretty impactful moment. And at one point, we got found out, and she ended up disappearing. I don't know what happened to her. But it kind of was like the thing that my mom particularly attached to, right? And so everything became about that. And it was every issue that I had was because of that thing. And so when I went to therapy, a lot of it was to focus on that thing, like that issue, what happened during that time, what went down. And so it completely blanketed everything else that happened in my life. Which, I mean, I grew up, like I talked about in last episode. My mom is also a person that has suffered from intergenerational trauma. And I also have carried on that legacy a little bit with her. I don't have children of my own, obviously, but I didn't realize that the physical and mental abuse that was occurring was an issue. I thought that it was all because of that situation when I was younger.
Mm.
It didn't come to light. So when I got into my early 20s, I just thought something was fundamentally wrong with me. It didn't help that I was also gay, and my sexuality was an identity was rolled into that. Um, and so I was like, am I gay? Is it just because this thing happened that I'm gay? Like I was battling with that for a lot of years.
Mm.
Um, and so a lot of focus was on what's wrong with me. I must be broken. I must be just damaged goods. And when I was in my late 20s, was I finally had started talking to a therapist long enough, like the same therapist,
Hmm.
uh, where they kind of started connecting the dots. Because I wouldn't really talk about the abuse itself. I would say I had a rough
Right.
childhood, like, um, but we were still kind of, I don't know, understanding the implications around, trigger warning for anybody, but around spanking, or like around using objects to spank, or around um physical
Like intimidation or
thank you.
manipulation. Yeah.
Yes, but behind those things, like a lot of what I identified as physical abuse was like if I wasn't getting punched in the face, or if
Right.
I wasn't being like horrifically abused, like child called it status abused. then it wasn't really abuse. And so when I was talking to him, he kind of started like pulling out, I shouldn't say pulling out. He asked the right questions at the right time. And it kind of got me to reveal some interesting scenarios that had happened in the past. And from there, it was like the entire box just blew open. And it made me realize, like, oh, like this wasn't okay. It wasn't because I was bad. It was just because my mom didn't know how to handle her emotions. Like, I had never really done anything too intense when I was a kid, right? I was a bit rowdier, but like I was not by any means a rebel, like at all. Um, I really struggled with like friendships and stuff. I went through a whole lying phase when I was a kid, and like my mom really uh didn't like that. For lack of better terms. And so like unraveling all of those things and the idea that maybe I wasn't broken, maybe there wasn't necessarily something wrong with me. Um, and understanding the abuse pattern more really helped kind of lay it out a little bit better and make me realize, like, oh, I was just being a kid
Yeah.
and all of these other things were happening and that were outside of my control. And so I just put it in on myself. I was like, well, I can control this. If I can control me well enough, then none of this outside stuff is actually an issue. And so it took me a long time to take those, I guess, blinders off. I went through a really big phase of going back and forth between blaming my mom and then being like, no, maybe I'm just exaggerating and like, but these things did happen, but it wasn't really her fault, so I shouldn't really be upset with her. Like I should have done something differently. Ultimately, I'm in control of who I am and not really understanding the hierarchy of parents and how that works back then. But it just really, I guess, to round it out, because I've been on a monologue. Sorry, guys. Uh,
No, no.
but I think that that was probably like the arc was just really not understanding and not seeing for a very long time because I thought it was something else. And then finding out that it was actually multiple layers of things that I could not have possibly uncovered by myself.
Mhm.
And ending up here, which is a much better place than it was.
Yeah. And we're so happy that you're here. We're so happy that you've gone through
Thank
this
you.
journey because we wouldn't be doing this, you know?
Amen.
Yeah.
We would not.
Yeah. We would not. Amber, what about you? Like what was your journey
Um,
like? When did you kind of like, how did it go?
so I talked about this on the last episode a little bit, about the relationship I was in for 6.5 years. And it was just a very unhealthy, very emotionally abusive. There was a lot of like, what we were just talking about it, like intimidation, physical like intimidation and stuff. Um, but so even then though, I didn't realize, I never thought like I'm in an abusive relationship because kind of like you said, Melissa, it was like, well, he's not hitting me, he's not, you know, this, that, the other. I don't have bruises on me. So it never crossed my mind that there were other versions. Um, and so I was just kind of like, I don't know. After that relationship, I was in a total, I went to a deep depression and I was just kind of a total mess. And that's when I started like researching more about those type like emotional abuse and, different types of abusive relationships. And I realized that there had been some issues with my parents that would have been in that category as well. um, and so it was kind of like opening my eyes to like, wow, okay, So all of this, and then like I said last time, trying to like discover more about myself and try to heal whatever I felt, I felt like a totally broken person after that relationship. And like I just didn't know who I was. And it sent me, yeah, down a journey of watching a lot of YouTube videos and learning more about trauma and going back to like childhood stuff. And I was like, oh, like I've actually experienced a lot of trauma, or, like more than I had thought. So then I really had to sit with those experiences that I had when I was younger, um, having to do with just family dynamics. I guess we'll say like things with my parents and stuff. Um, but yeah, and so then I was just like, wow, okay, this is like now uncovering all of this stuff that I didn't even know was there, because when you're a kid, it's all you know. Like you grow up and it's like you're not analyzing everything that's happening. You're
Yeah.
just experiencing what is your life, and you really have no other choice but to just, go along with it. And so yeah, once I started like really digging into stuff, and I was like, wow, okay, I have a whole bunch of shit that I've gone through that I apparently need to address. So that's really where I started like, okay, I started seeing a therapist for a little while and just trying to figure out like, because I also reached a point where I got really angry.
Mhm.
And I'm not an angry person, like not in general. And I I felt just so out of control, and I was like, what is wrong with me? Like something is broken inside of me. Like I am not like I'm the way I'm feeling and acting is not who I feel like I am. And so yeah, I just felt like, okay, tons of shit going on. Let's try to see, heal, learn more, all of the things, and do the work, which I'm still working on. Still not quite there, but that's pretty much um, what started my journey to really trying to understand the trauma and heal it, heal what I could, heal what I can.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's the journey, right? Like that is
Yeah.
the journey. I love how you said too that you had like started looking up YouTube videos and things. Can we just shout out YouTube University? Because same girl, same.
Yeah,
I was
Right.
like, what the fuck is wrong with me?
yep.
The
And lo and
internet is a
behold,
wild thing.
yeah, yeah, lo and behold, here I get all these responses. So I totally relate to that. And thank you guys for sharing your stories. Because these are places where people are coming from. And same for me, like for me, how my journey started was growing up exactly like you said, Amber, like my life was my life and I didn't analyze it or think anything of it or think that I was as a child. So my parents got divorced when I was 10. Before that, I had been sexually assaulted by a church member when I was 5, who was also a child as well. Um, so totally relate. I had
Winning.
told, right, yeah.
That was morbid humor.
It's okay. That's what we're doing. It's all good. So I had told my parents. I remember like I it's so weird. Growing up, I never thought about this situation. I never thought about the scenario, never thought about how it went. But when I was like 13, it's like I don't know what happened, whether it was like puberty and things like I don't know what the change was, but all the memories came flooding back. And I
Mm.
remember addressing it, with members of my family and being like, this happened, right? And they were like, yeah. So I was assaulted. I had told my parents. Um, nothing happened because we were all part of a church at that time. There was just some prayer and repentance and whatever had happened. Um, and so I never got justice for that, you know? And so then as I grew up, and kind of like claimed my adulthood, I just kind of like carried it, but never had really like addressed it. And then I got married. It kind of came up again. I also had grown up, like I said, super religious. And I think to a certain extent that really shaped me as a person in some positive ways and some negative ways. I really carried so much guilt as a human just for existing and being born with original sin, and being born with a stain that I felt was, in my opinion, the only thing God or anybody else would see of me, you know? So anyway, fast forward, we get through college somehow. We get married, all the things. Um, During COVID, I was an ICU nurse and I had, been working in the cardiovascular intensive care unit. Um, I was travel nursing at the time, and I just started experiencing like the most intense chest pain, like I had talked about last episode, like the most intense chest pain I had ever felt. And I knew for sure that I was dying. Couple emergency room visits later, and with the help of a very dear loved one, really had found out that I had anxiety. I had no idea that it was anxiety. I had no idea that anxiety could present like that. And I had no idea what I was anxious about. That was the craziest part, is that I just felt like I was dying and I didn't know why. And it was terrifying because it seemed like it would come up like that with no warning, no reasons why. This is how it appeared to me. As I kept delving into it, I would then, when it was happening, take a breath, take a moment. What just happened before this? What happened right before this? And kind of like figuring out how and why these things were related. Delving more into that, then I realized that I had emotions that I had stuffed down for my entire life, of things that happened physically to me,
Mhm.
emotionally, spiritually. There was, growing up, like a lot of emotional manipulation, emotional control, mental control. There's so much to it. We could be
Yeah.
here all night just talking about that. So it's just a lot of things went into it. Realizing that anxiety was because of my childhood and all of these other things all lined up to make the train that was this monster rushing at me. It was, really eye-opening. So, like you were saying, Amber, then you realize that the anxiety isn't the issue. It's everything that came before that. And you're left thinking, like, oh my gosh, I have to go back and relive my entire life and everything that happened to me, put all of those things to bed.
Yep.
Huge, huge, tall order. And it's taken, you know, in hindsight, like not a lot of time, compared to the amount of time that has passed. I'm 32. So like it's not been a lot of time, but it's been a lot of time, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, of just kind of like full time diving into these things and healing myself one bit at a time. So yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing
Yeah.
that.
Thank you for
Like,
yeah.
sharing that.
I am
I also,
curious.
oh,
Go ahead. Go ahead, Amber.
I was just gonna say, I know like we're gonna have like talk about these stories and we leave stuff out, and um I just wanted to specify that like when I answered the question, it was based on like actual like when I realized like what trauma was and stuff. I've dealt with like depression for, I mean, since I was a preteen, like as long as I can remember, mostly. Um, and so that's part of the reason I've always been interested in, psychology type stuff. And it's very prevalent in my family, just mental health issues in general. So I wasn't like completely, had no idea what was going on. Like it's just specifically talking about trauma, I learned a lot about it after this all
Absolutely.
happened. But
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, and I really
yeah.
appreciate that you brought up too, like, not everything that we talk about in this snippet is the whole story. Like,
Exactly.
Right,
there is not enough time
right,
Yeah.
right,
for each of us to discuss our life stories in detail. Like,
right.
and this isn't the right place. But it is, I mean, there are probably more bits that you learn about us over time when they become relevant, but it is a culmination, so much so, of experiences that really make trauma. And I love that you brought up the medical portion, Margaret. And I forgot to tell or talk about this last time, was I know that there's like a lot of medical professionals that automatically lean towards anxiety when they can't figure something out. And I am not by any means saying that they are correct. What I am saying is it might be worthwhile to try while also looking at physical symptoms and see what's going on there. I'm not saying give up on the idea that something else is going on, but sometimes it does manifest in that way. And
Mhm.
you can feel like you don't have trauma and you can't think of something. And it could be something as simple as doing the dishes or like getting ready for bed, or like so many things can bring up those issues that seem like they have no correlation.
Yeah.
And so it is worth exploring just to see. If you go to the therapist and the therapist is like, I'm not really feeling like anything's coming up here, and like, you seem like you had a pretty normal childhood and I'm not seeing you attached to anything, then okay. You can say at least to that doctor that you went to therapy.
Hmm.
You did the thing. But
Hmm.
it is something to think about, that it's not always going to manifest in the way that you expect it to, even if you've had anxiety in the past, because it
Hmm.
does change over time too.
It does. Yeah, and I think that's a really interesting perspective because, you know, okay, so this has been my biggest thing. I think working in healthcare. Now I've been in healthcare for we're hitting almost 15 years and I've been a nurse for 10. So it's it's been a long time of seeing so many different kinds of people and how they present. People can present physically with a traumatic injury, for example, and be totally fine, so to speak, emotionally, because the trauma doesn't necessarily manifest that quickly, number one, but also um, they could be in a secure attachment style. They could have safe people supporting like family members. They could just be more at peace with what happened to them. And then you have some people who physically are, what you would say like less, whatever. Or sometimes you have patients who are physically a mess. And they have something going on in every kind of department. But there's something to be said for patients that you come across where you can tell there's so much more below the surface than just what's going on with them medically. And this is the space where healthcare, as far as being a nurse in a hospital, because that's my main level of experience, it doesn't give you the ability to go there because the healthcare system isn't built for that. As far as nurses working in a hospital, the want is there to help people, but the resources and time and staffing and it hasn't caught up,
Mhm.
in my opinion. So this is the gap that I've been looking to fill is I really truly believe that trauma in some way, shape, or form lives in most people. And some people are willing and open and wanting to talk about it and kind of put some things to bed. Other people aren't there yet. But the point is just seeing people and meeting them where they're at and knowing that you don't have the whole story as the healthcare provider in whatever situation. You're seeing a snippet, a puzzle piece. You haven't got the whole puzzle. So while I agree with you, Mel, of like, yes, it totally could be anxiety. Yes, give therapy. I think everybody should go to therapy. I think everybody should try.
Absolutely.
Um, I think too, as healthcare providers, when we don't know, we initially just go there because,
Absolutely.
I think it's just important in a very long-winded way to just look at the whole person.
Absolutely. And I
Yeah.
do feel that same sense of the yes, therapists are or physicians sometimes, right? Or medical providers. Doctors are medical providers. dentists or medical providers, but they all do different things and
Yeah.
they generally don't overlap too much. They try to
Right.
stay in their lane. And
Yeah.
so I completely understand when a doctor is in that situation where they're like, well, here's all the symptoms. Something's not adding up. We've exhausted all options. It seems like the next sensible move would be to try something in the mental health realm. Like,
Hmm.
if you're getting blood work and you're getting tests, and again, I'm not saying that medical stuff is very sensitive for a lot of people, and I
Yeah.
don't want to minimize your medical experience because a lot of people have struggled to get their situations figured out, and it does end up being something.
Hmm.
So, by no means am I saying that you are inaccurate.
Yeah.
There is definitely a large bias towards believing that it is anxiety, especially in women.
Yeah.
What I am merely saying is if that comes up, it's not necessarily a bad idea.
Yes. Agreed.
I mean, just for instance, too, I have a family member, just to keep some anonymity. I hate that word, man. It's like an enemy, but like anonymity.
Anonymity.
Anonymity. Um, but no issues with anxiety their whole life, suddenly started waking up having panic attacks, but like they couldn't figure it
Right.
out. It didn't present as panic attacks. It presented as like a and
Hmm.
like waking up in a cold sweat.
Hmm.
And so they thought something was going on. They were like, what the hell's happening? Like maybe it's sleep apnea, maybe it's something else. Got the sleep study, got all these other tests done. Turns out it was anxiety.
Hmm.
And it only manifested while she was sleeping.
Hmm. Yeah, that cortisol spike, especially like around 3, 4 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that'll wake you up. Oh,
It
yeah, it's
really
rough.
will. But
Yeah.
so it's just, keep it in your bag of things to I I can't think of a metaphor. Keep
Uh,
it in your bag of tricks.
Bag of
There
tricks.
we go.
Yeah, like,
Keep it in your bag.
ooh,
I was trying to be
keep
really
it in your
clever.
bag. Keep it in your purse.
Unfortunately, sometimes when I try to be clever, it doesn't work out.
No, you're good. I'm the same way. But yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, and yeah, believe people, and therapy is good for everybody.
Can
Well,
I
and
ask
So,
you a
oh, go ahead.
question, Margaret?
Ask me.
So we've had similar situations clearly in our childhood, and I'm just from that experience. I am curious if you're willing to talk about it, first of all.
I'm
Are you
willing to
willing?
talk about
Okay.
anything.
Um, what was there a large age gap or was it same age?
Oh, large age gap, 10 plus years.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So
Mm-hmm.
mine was about the same age. So a
Yeah,
little
interesting.
different, but I was just curious, I guess, about that in the bigger picture. Like I
Yeah.
wasn't feeling that, how you had said I didn't feel like I got justice.
Yes.
And that's the part that kind of cued me. I was like, I feel like I didn't have that sense of feeling a need for justice.
Right.
And so I was like, I wonder what the age gap was because
Yes.
for me it was a very different experience. It was more of a feeling of like loneliness or like um loss. It wasn't
Mm,
necessarily a feeling of justice, but I think that has a lot to do with the fact that we were very close in age and
yeah.
like she was also innocent in a way. Like
Yes.
so that makes way more sense though. And I was just kind of
I was
curious.
curious about that too, actually, but I wasn't sure
Yeah.
if it was appropriate to ask. So,
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's nothing you can't ask for me. And two, like I think there's a chart, and I can't remember what it is called, but there's a chart made by a much smarter person than me about like what is sexually appropriate at what ages.
oh,
And so, like, for example, if you have two 5-year-olds around the same, time frame, whatever, it is developmentally appropriate for them to explore, each other's genitalia, kiss each other. Like those things are developmentally appropriate. When you have like a 5-year-old and a 15-year-old, that is no longer developmentally appropriate. So there's things like that where you just kind of like, this is exactly the conversation of like, when is it sexual assault and when is it kids figuring out what's, and not to diminish your experience either, because that is still, if it was unwanted, it's still thought, doesn't matter. But it's just the point being of like, it helps give a little bit more language and clarity to what happened, because when you're 5, you don't really know. It's just confusing and things are happening and you don't really understand.
Yeah.
So
And I'm glad you
yeah.
brought that up because I was actually gonna ask, like how what you guys think as far as like what is, you know, essay versus like experimenting, like with when you're talking in terms of children. So
Absolutely.
that's I didn't know that there was a chart. That's really
There
Yeah, I'll
is.
find it and end up, I will post it for anybody who is curious. I will post it in our feed, on our YouTube channel, so that people can reference it if that applies to you. But yeah, there's a whole chart, breaks it down by age groups, and it breaks it down as well as like what is totally normal, what is a warning sign, and what is past a warning sign and is something to be concerned about,
Mhm.
or would be like a reportable,
Yeah.
situation.
Well, and I think for my particular situation, there was this weird okay, so chart was in play, right?
Yeah, yeah,
It was a factor. Um and it was very much, I don't want to say downplayed, but kind of downplayed. Like, so the person that was involved was being essayed by her uncle,
Mhm.
and I became the mirror. And so it was very much more involved than traditional exploration. Um, but it was still, because we were the same age, it
right,
wasn't as impactful as if it would have been a large age gap. And
right.
so it's such a weird feeling. Because I do want to say, like, that's not true, but I know, like, I do get the difference. I do.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
there's also like s slight exceptions to that same chart.
Absolutely. Yeah. Again, everybody is in individual circumstances. So
Mhm.
to say that, this is or is not, sexual assault, whatever, it's what happened to you and your perspective. So as we talk about trauma, what separates something from just having been an experience that you lived through and trauma is, how does that affect you now? And
Mhm.
how has that shaped your lived experience, right? So, like, if I got into a car accident, or if I had gotten into an accident or whatever, um, which I did, I'm okay with that accident having happened, because it was just something that I lived through and I suffered injuries through it and I'm good now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Versus carrying, how does that, like, if it carried on through my life and I'm having flashbacks and I'm having anxiety about being in a car or being wherever, and I'm having issues hearing like the music that was playing in the radio, or, those types of things, like, that is what's trauma and what still is unresolved. So bringing it back to this experience, like, it's sexual assault if you feel it was sexual assault. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, if
yeah,
you are continuing to have feelings, you know, like, if you experience that loss, even the downplaying of those emotions that you were experiencing at the moment from the adults in your life, and the constant everything is back to
absolutely.
this situation that happened, yeah, that's traumatic as hell, right?
Well, and I think the interesting part is I've never so it's like I'm stuck in two places. Like, especially for my specific experience, I've had exploration with other kids, right? Like, I think most of us have at
Yeah,
some point or
that's
another. That
developmentally
was,
appropriate.
yeah, that was totally normal. But what's interesting is it's like this particular situation has always felt like not exploration, but also I don't know if I would go to the end of assault
Right.
either.
Okay.
And so it's like, but there's no wordage
Yeah.
for that other category. And so like I end up leaning towards the assault because I feel like exploration doesn't do the entire experience justice.
Right.
in a way. And so I totally agree with what you're saying though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I could
Overall.
add too, like, um, being a queer person myself, um, I flip between being, really I'm pansexual, but, bi, pan, whatever. I'm married to a man. It doesn't matter. This is the life I'm living. So, but like how that shapes it too, like you're saying, like these issues that you were having in life, then, your parental figure, like bringing it back to, well, it's this thing. And then also presenting as a queer woman, like that must have been like really hard too. Like, cause
Yeah.
how did that feel of like, okay, so was this because of that? Like, obviously queerness is just who we are and that's
Yeah.
fine. Um, so like, how was that?
It so it was really I flip-flopped a lot for a lot of years.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I went to the boy extreme and was like, okay, I'm gonna be boy crazy. And I'm going to make this a thing, right? And then when I was in middle school, I started realizing like it didn't feel the same way.
Yeah.
And then I hit high school and it was still really like back and forth. Like I didn't feel like it made I don't want to say I didn't feel comfortable, but like I guess I didn't feel comfortable around guys in that way. Like it didn't feel like that pull.
Hmm.
Um and then by the time I was 16, I, kind of realized like, okay, and I started to own it. But
Yeah.
even after that, it was like this constant question of, okay, but I didn't know until I was older. So does that mean I'm not really gay?
Hmm.
And maybe I'm bisexual and but I like women and I can flirt with guys and I do like men's like personalities. And then like the idea of queerness came in and like but then I felt like I haven't really actually explored that idea either. And
Hmm.
so can I really own something that I haven't really partook in a way?
Totally. Yeah.
And so it was this constant like back and forth. And now I'm gay. Like
Yeah.
I'm gay. We're just gonna go with that. But
Yeah.
Makes sense
it
though.
it took me until I was probably like 30 to
No.
be finally like, okay, you know what? Who fucking cares? Excuse my
Same.
language. But like if you're not sleeping with me, it's not your problem. Like
Right.
Yeah, basically.
it's so
Right.
None your business.
but it's definitely it was very confusing in the identity realm. And also my parents are very like they grew up Catholic and like that was a whole thing on its own. Like
Yep.
with the maybe it's just a phase and then me being like, well, maybe it is just a phase. Look,
Yeah.
Right. Because they're like, I don't know. They're grown-ups. They know.
right?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, but no, it was a whole it was a whole
Well,
thing.
can I just say like same because so growing up like I would say like pretty close to like fundamentalist like Pentecostally type vibes Christian. Um like yeah, that wasn't queerness isn't a thing. You're not that's not okay in my household of origin. So I had these feelings since I was a child about my friends, about people I would see on, movies, TV, what have you, and I would just like, oh well, I just think they're pretty. Oh well, I just think that, whatever. Nah, girl. Nah. It was by panic my whole life.
Uh,
But yeah, but it was. And then, sexuality was not really something I was comfortable with as a grown person even. It took a lot of it took a lot of work to be okay with the idea of premarital sex,
Mhm.
to be okay with consensual sex with different partners. You know what I mean? It was tough. It was tough. I even remember my husband and I got married at the courthouse for the very romantic reason of insurance coverage, like 1 month before our actual wedding. And I remember feeling like my first thought after we got married is like, I don't have to feel bad about having sex with him now. Do you know what I
Interesting.
mean?
Yeah.
Because of the ingrained institutional doctrine
Mm-hmm.
of like, I'm going to hell every time that I think about this, let alone a woman, let alone another queer person. Like it's a lot. So, took several more years for me to be comfortable with this idea. And there's a whole another very long drawn out story of how I got to this point, but I realized like queer, I'm queer.
Yeah.
And so I came to my husband and I told him and I said, like, look, like this is where I'm at. I totally understand if this is like a deal breaker for you. I just have to let you know what I've discovered and where my truth is. And like whatever you need to do with that is fine, but I just have to here. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like here's this.
I'm handing it
Be
to you.
honest, be honest about it. Yeah, be open.
Yeah. And I was just like, oh my God, he's gonna like hate this. Like, I don't know. Like and no, he was very much like, I love you in every variation, shape, form, whatever this is, I'm down. Um,
Green flag.
and so,
Right?
yeah,
Green flag.
right.
Oh
Green
Green
my
flag.
flag.
God, we
We're
need
gonna
green
have
and
to
red
get flags,
flags.
I think.
Yes.
Yes.
Green. The only, I only have this flag. Oh wait, that's the only flag. But anyway, yeah, it was just like, no, this is fine. And I was like, Okay. And he's like, if you need the space in our relationship to figure that out, that is also okay with me. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm with you if you're with me. And I was like, wow. I was like, no, I think I'm good. I think this marriage is crowded enough. But like, I really appreciate that honesty and like like, you just get to some places sometimes. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Where you
Right.
just like, I never thought I would be having this conversation with somebody. And I never thought I'd be live streaming that conversation to, our 50 some subscribers or whatever. But
Yeah.
like, this is where I'm at. And so anyway, fast forward, this is where we are. Now what's cool is that we can both be like, yeah, she's hot. Nah, whatever. Like
Right.
it's a whole thing. So it's fine.
That's
We love
awesome.
ourselves. It's cool. But it's been a long journey.
Cool. Well, can I kind of switch directions again a little
Please.
bit? Thank you so much for sharing, by the way.
Yeah, I was gonna
Thank
say
you
thank
too.
you, like both, yeah, just for sharing so much personal like experience and stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm telling you.
Wow, that was really enthusiastic.
Not me
Wow.
sweating.
I know, right? I was like, is it hot in here?
Never said that to the internet before.
I know, right? I'm over here like getting a hot flash, like, okay,
Yeah.
calm down, calm down.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a interesting question. Okay, what is one mental health opinion that you have that's a little controversial?
Ooh.
That we currently have?
Yep.
I have
Go.
one, but I want to see Amber go first. I'm putting you on the spot.
That's a tough one.
You can't think of a single thing that you've heard where you're like,
It's
not even,
probably that thing.
I was like, not even breathing exercises.
Oh, girl, don't diss my breathing exercises. That shit got me through, okay?
Okay, I totally get it now. But like it's like when somebody tells you, "Oh, go out and take a walk." You're like, "Fuck you." Like
Yeah.
I don't want to take
Yeah.
a walk.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
No, I'm having a hard time thinking.
okay.
Okay, I'll do mine. Maybe it'll inspire you.
Okay.
So mine is that I don't really think that diagnoses are as a thing as much as they are. So again, I could be totally wrong about this. I am not the end all be all resource on any of this shit. This is just from my experience and my understanding of all this stuff. All these different diagnoses that we have, bipolar disorder, histrionic personality disorder, what is like narcissistic personality disorder, anxiety disorder, depression, like all these things, bipolar, if I didn't already say that. Like, I think that if you really take the time to go into what is the background issues of these things, what you will find most times is some level of trauma, whether it's generational, filtered in through your epigenetics, or it's experiential. I think that the diagnoses, like we talked about with the DSM last week,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's insurance purposes. It's so that we know what category to put you in, so we know what to do. Everything in medicine, everything in healthcare is a flow sheet. It's
Yes.
all a flow sheet. If you are this, then that means I'm going to do this. I'm going to give you this, and this is what your response is going to be. If
Yep.
that's what, and then when you don't fit that, then you get this diagnosis, this pill to counteract the effects of that pill, and all the things. When if we just like listen to people and believe them, I feel like we'd get a lot further. Just saying.
Fair.
The statistics right now, I think, say that 1 in 3 people have been sexually assaulted, but yet I've never met a person, who has not experienced that. You know what I mean? Like in real life, I'm just saying. I think that
Yes.
if we had more openness about mental health, if we had more ability to sit down and really listen to people, diagnoses wouldn't be what they are.
Can I
That's my take.
play like um can I play devil's advocate
Please.
with that? So like there's a lot there that I agree with. And I definitely think when we were talking earlier, I was gonna say that like mental health needs to be combined with, modern medicine. Like it needs to
Yeah.
go together and instead of like, kind of like you're saying, like we're treating all these symptoms, but like not going to the root cause. But I will say that some people getting diagnosed with something is actual it's it can be very helpful for them
Hmm.
or even like very validating. Um,
Right.
and then they kind of like know, like a route to take, like maybe I need to approach it this way. And then there are some things, like bipolar and like schizophrenia, like have specific types of medicine and stuff. Like
Hmm.
some of
Hmm.
that some of that stuff can be really important to have the diagnosis. Like,
Yes.
um, but I do agree that it's like I think we're very focused on like what's wrong with me, like, go to the WebMD. I have a brain tumor. I always come to that conclusion. It's like I have a
Yeah.
brain tumor or cancer, and um so we are a little too focused on that for sure. I just know that it can be validating and helpful for people to be get a diagnosis sometimes. And yeah, that I guess that's all I was gonna say.
Yeah. Yeah. And to play, if it's not devil's advocate, is it angel's advocate? God's advocate? I don't know, whatever. But like to, to like, like to, um, while I totally agree with you, yes, that like getting a diagnosis, especially when you're like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like,
Yeah.
what is going on? And to receive a diagnosis and then to know that there's treatment that can help. Yes, I totally agree that that's very validating, or that can be very validating. Yeah. The only thing I will say too is that like sometimes all you are is your diagnoses.
Yeah.
As speaking as a patient and then somebody who treats people and who's heard conversations of like, okay, instead of like a bad example, but like this is what I can think of. Like if somebody has PTSD in their medical chart, for me, I would be like, okay, so how I'm going to approach that patient is I'm going to ask them before I touch them, make sure that I warn them of any loud sounds that are going to happen. Like just kind of like be
Yeah.
mindful of your care. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yep.
that is something that is also in the background. Also, being in an unfamiliar environment with people that you don't know who are touching and pulling and prodding you all the time, like can be scary for anybody.
Hmm.
So just be mindful, right? But then other people can see that diagnosis and be like, oh my gosh, they're going to have this, they're going to have that. Like, it's
Yeah.
like it follows you in good ways and then in not good ways. So that
No,
really
that's very
falls on
true.
yeah, that really falls on healthcare professionals to just be more knowledgeable about mental health diagnoses and what that comes with and just how you approach people in general. But yes, I get what you're saying, Amber.
I apologize. I'm listening. I'm just trying to plug my laptop in so it doesn't die. But yeah, no, those are valid points too. I very much agree with that.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting is I feel like this is my controversial opinion,
Yeah,
but
do it.
I feel like we have swung in a direction with mental health that has moved into a place of enabling in a lot of ways.
Oh,
And
interesting.
I don't mean it in like a, how do I word this? I think that there's a lot of really good things that have come out of mental health,
Mm,
like
yeah.
learning to take care of yourself, making sure that, you understand your emotions, you understand your body. Like those things are excellent. But
Hmm.
there's this whole other side of it that has happened where it's become now these are the reasons that I'm not going to do something.
Hmm.
And it I feel like there wasn't enough light shined on being willing to do something because we were wanting to validate so many people and like really understand their experience and like make them feel the way that they didn't get to feel when they were younger, which
Yeah.
I totally think is appropriate. But it's like, okay, it's like the beginning portions of therapy. Like the
Hmm.
first 10 sessions are all building rapport, right?
Right.
So you're going to want your patient in that scenario to find you comfortable, to like you, to validate their experience, to understand them more, like that unconditional positive regard, right?
Right. Right.
But if you never get past that 10 sessions, every therapist you go to is going to be giving you those same things. And you're
Right.
never going to experience the push
Yep.
Right.
or the discomfort or the edge of what you need to move towards.
Yeah.
And so it's like we've created an insulation of enablement where we're like, okay, well, we want to validate your experience and we want you to feel like you deserve to be here and you have worth, which you do. And you have to be
Hmm.
willing to push outside of that and
Yeah, I
start
get
to
what
move
you're
forward.
saying.
Like, I don't mean that I don't think I don't think we've created entitlement or like that we've created this bad like society or anything. I think that we have created a society though where we've started to use information as excuses.
Mm,
So
Yeah.
instead of being willing to push your edge and continue to grow.
yeah, I get what you mean because what comes to mind is like it's like, okay, well, I can't do these like for whatever reason, people are so scared of using the phone. And I think it's just because I'm an extrovert. I think that's funny. But like I don't want to call this order and if they don't have an order online option, like I'm not ordering from them, or what have you, because they don't want to speak to a person. And like while I understand that can be really hard, like yes, I get that. However, like I get what you're saying. I think what's important is using like small things to like push outside of your
Yes,
comfort zone. That is
absolutely.
like a really big growth point, really. Like once like for example, this is very outside of my comfort zone, but we're doing it, right? Like, and that's like good. It's beneficial, even if nobody watches this. Like to me, it's like it's beneficial to me and to us as a group.
Absolutely. And I think
Um,
that's something too that you're touching on about like, sure, I mean, there are lots of people out there that don't want to do those things, and that's okay. The one that's at a disadvantage in that is themselves, though, by
yeah,
not being
right.
willing to grow. And that I think so many people have potential, like to push themselves, like, everything that I'm saying sounds not the way that I want it to sound right now. But
It's okay.
what I mean though is people have possibility. And
Yeah.
I think that we are limiting ourselves in our possibility a lot of the time because of fear or discomfort or not being willing to go to that growth edge, because
Mhm.
what does that mean if I have to face this?
It's fear,
Yeah.
right? It's fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of fill in the blank, right? And like to bring it back to what Amber was saying earlier, like, it is really hard, especially when you deal with something like anxiety, deal with something like depression, to like get yourself to that next step. But then, like you said, Mel, sometimes you just have to like get your ass in the shower and deal with the suck, and just
Yeah.
know that like, because like at the end of the day, like life isn't padded, right? Like
Oh,
life does bring a lot of challenges and a lot of turmoil. And when we're able to go to that growth edge, we're building resiliency. And that's really the marker of like tangible growth when it comes to trauma recovery. It's
absolutely.
not necessarily like, while it is dealing with the things that have happened and making peace with those things, it's also, and almost some could say like more important, to be able to handle moments of discomfort with more tolerance than we did before. Because
Absolutely.
the moments of discomfort are going to come. That's life. We're going to run out of money one paycheck. We're going to, have like sickness, illness, loss, grief. Those are parts of life, as well as joy, happiness, peace, and love, right? Like, so the learning point in trauma recovery is to take all of the things that we know about ourselves from past, future, present, but also apply them to today and tomorrow of like, okay, well, today was great. I'm going to try again tomorrow. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to, break out of this cycle, or else we
Mhm.
just kind of like stay the same, right?
Absolutely. And I think too, there's those for anybody that ends up, watching this too, I want to say there was a point in time where I was going through my growth journey where that specific information would have really pissed me off.
Sure. Me too.
Like, I just want to put that out there. Like,
Yeah.
hearing that is incredibly angering. And
Hmm.
that is so accurate with how you're feeling too. Like when you're in the process of healing through trauma and you hear somebody say that, it feels so unfair.
Yeah.
It feels like you don't know who I am. You don't know my story. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know anything about me. And here you're telling me that I should just keep going and I should just do more. And you don't know what I'm up against. And I totally get that feeling. That is 100% part of moving through your trauma and getting to a place where you can be further along in your resilience. Like, that is something I think for a while, everybody going through trauma healing has to protect that part that needs validation. And like
Yeah.
some of us are still working on protecting that part. And so when we say those things, it's going to hit right in that core of like, ugh, what does this say about me? And this isn't saying anything about you. This is just information, letting you know that part of trauma work is resilience and building
Mhm.
it and continuing to push yourself. And if you're already on this path, you're starting to do that work and just to keep moving forward with it.
Yeah, that's a really great point, and just brings to mind, um,
I'll be right back.
okay, just brings to mind how I felt along this journey of like, I was just given this experience, right? Like I didn't do anything to have these things happen to me. They just did without my permission.
Right? Like
And
completely out of your control. I didn't ask for
yes,
this shit.
yes. And now here I am. And I feel in I can't go back in my brain. I can't go back to how I used to feel before the anxiety. I can't go back to how I used to feel before before I became my authentic self and like continued to strengthen that person. I can't go back to who I was before I met my inner child and integrated these parts of me and shadow work and all these other things. Like I can't go back to that person. I am who I am now, and now I have this torch that I have to carry forward. And while that's empowering, in a way of like, I have this new life that is my 100% my own and I can live it however I want to. It's also like, well, what the fuck?
Right.
Like,
Well, and it's
because
go
what,
ahead.
it turns, it's like there's that piece of resentment that we deal with, the piece of grief that we deal with, that anger, rage, all those things of like, I didn't do this to myself. I didn't ask for this. Now here I am having to pick up the pieces and make some lemonade out of this shit. And it's really angering. But when,
Absolutely.
and then when, and it, I feel like for me, I don't know if you experience this, it comes in waves
Hmm.
where then I make peace with it in that time. And like, this is where I am today, where I'm like, and now look at all this beauty that you can create out of all of this chaos and mess. I think that was
Hmm.
great too. But you know what I mean? Like the fact that it's in your hands.
Absolutely. And I think maybe that is the experience. Like when you are the experience about being angry that we were talking about earlier, it's a literally that moment that it is put in your hands. And you're sitting there and you're like, what do I do with this? I don't want responsibility of this. I didn't
Hmm.
make this happen. Why do I have to figure it out when I literally did nothing to grab it?
Yeah.
And then you're also dealing with the I deserve care. I deserve to be like, I deserve love. I deserve to feel worthy. And those two things at the same time almost bring out that like teenage rebellion that we had when we were younger, like where you're in this conflicted place of, well, I'm really fucking angry, but also I really want to be taken care of. And I want somebody to hold me the way that I was supposed to be held. And I want somebody to value me and cherish me. And it's really hard to figure out that balance of like
Hmm.
not going from one extreme to the other because a lot of people could either go down the really angry, resentful path or go down the I need this validation all of the time path. And you really want to try and hit the straight and narrow on that one. Like,
Hmm.
feel the emotion, feel the anger, feel the need for validation, and ride that wave. Because
Yeah.
on the other side of that wave, you'll start to realize that you're carrying that torch and carrying that stuff, but it starts to feel a lot lighter.
Yeah. Good point. And two, I think the message there as well is like, you are your own compass, as corny as that is. Like, the right direction is forward.
Yes,
You know what I mean? Like, if
absolutely.
some days, like you said, Amber, if some days that's just like taking it one step at a time, in a depressive kind of spell, if that's just taking a breath and centering, grounding yourself in an anxious spell, if that's just enjoying the moment because you're in a good spot, like whatever that is, you are the driver. You are the thing.
Absolutely.
You're the thing.
You're the
Well, and
thing.
I will say too, I think that this entire experience also kind of ties into like substance use. I feel like there's a
Mm.
lot of people that assume that they're I'm trying to very carefully choose my words. Um, that assume people should like that people choose that path or that, it's not just don't do it. And there's this idea around like have you heard the siblings metaphor like where um if one sibling turned out really great and the other one turned to drugs, like clearly that means that the parents weren't that bad, it was the person.
Okay. Okay.
And or it wasn't the situation, it was the person that started doing the drugs. And what's interesting is like a lot of times we don't factor into the fact like into it that both of those people experienced different parents, even though they were the same people. Like
Hmm.
we are not the same people over decades. It doesn't happen. But
Hmm.
also each of them are born with their own response systems. And like sometimes it really is the easier path.
Hmm.
For some people, it's the easier path to do the successful thing, to go that way. And for other people, the easier path is to go towards drugs and addiction. Like, but that doesn't mean that either path is more equally right.
Well, not
Correct.
always
Yeah.
easier, but just what they gravitate to based on how they have um dealt with or not dealt with um those same experiences, like,
Yep.
but
Mhm.
again, like they have different experiences because they're interpreting and every like they're they grew up in the same house, but they lived two different experiences, I guess.
Exactly.
So it's not the same
Absolutely.
experience.
Well, and I
But
didn't mean necessarily easy as in easy to handle. What I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking was easy to access.
Yes.
So for some people, success is an easier path to access
Yeah.
because of what you said, the surroundings. So like I
Yeah.
was using it more so as that
yeah, okay.
terminology versus like an
Gotcha.
easy.
Gotcha.
You can both get on separate roller coasters and they can still be fucking roller coasters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like they can both have their own challenges. But
Yep.
it's definitely, I don't know, I think it's interesting how that happens too, I guess.
Yeah, and to your point, that whole like two people can come from the same family and live, have different parents. We're talking about attachment styles. We're talking about, you know, like where are you in the birth order? We're talking about like age gaps. We're talking about your parental age, like your parents' age. In our family, like I had three siblings in a different country, and then I had two older siblings in the United States. Um, and we had an age gap of a decade and more, you know. And so my mom was about 40, right about like a little bit before 40 when she had me. That alone, now being a mom, I have a whole different level of empathy because girl, you know what I mean? But things still happen, right? Like so and and dealing with how that is, then putting it into the emotional manipulation and kind of like all the turmoil going on in the home, like it just brings a whole new level of clarity to the situation. And all of that to say that a family is an interesting thing.
To say the least.
And
It really is.
yeah, and we need like decades of research done into more family dynamics and relationships and attachments because we haven't even begun to scratch the surface, I believe, in how all that shakes down. So,
I agree a
When,
100%.
especially when you have like what is that, like, what is that word, combined families, like
oh
um
yeah, like blended families.
yeah.
Ah,
Blended families, thank you. um and just kind of like how that plays a part. And like for me, my parents, like my mom and dad got divorced when I was 5, but there were no siblings at that time. But then I gained a, at the time, like stepbrother. And we both kind of went through that because actually our parents were friends. I don't want to go too much into that. I'm not trying to put anybody on blast, but
No, that's fine.
he
Yeah.
and my he's my brother. Um, we're technically not even step anymore, but he's my brother. Like, and it's interesting because like we both have that memory of like that time in our life of like, because he's, I think, 8 months younger than me or 10 months younger than me, so we're very close in age.
Hmm.
um and so we have those memories together, and we experienced a whole part of our parents that my siblings that came later from the other relationships, like, they don't have. So
Hmm.
there's just so much that like that goes into it. And just what you experience, who you're experiencing, like even your parents being at different points in their lives and who they are at that any given point. Like there's just so much that goes into it, I think. So I
Yeah,
definitely agree.
absolutely.
Like
it really.
family, man, there's a lot there. Great when
Yeah.
you have family. Um, absolutely. But it can definitely complicated.
Yeah. Well, much better when everybody goes to therapy. Does it always turn out that way? No. But
No.
you figure it out as you go, right? Like,
Right?
again,
I always do.
yeah, we're all like, it's our first time on this planet, this floating rock together,
Maybe.
and we're all just doing the best we can. And
We're on a
What?
floating rock. I'm just kidding. Sorry.
A flat one. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
Sorry,
So
we're not even
something,
getting.
we gotta be okay. I think like one thing that we're gonna have to make sure to do is like because we talk about like such heavy topics, obviously trauma and all this like, baggage and stuff, like I want anybody watching to know that like we all have a very like fun, like sarcastic kind of like just joke around like sense of humor.
Yes.
yeah.
We all do. And so all three of us at least is what I'm saying.
Mhm.
And so I just hope people like don't get offended by anything because
It's the
we
trauma.
all
No,
kind of just like
Yeah.
it's just yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, which I do think also that we need to like implement maybe some kind of like fun or like lower stakes game or something like
That's a good
Oh,
or
idea.
that's a cool idea.
we could do
Yeah.
that. But I also wanted to I put it in the chat. Sorry to I'm not trying to like if anybody needed to say anything,
Oh,
but
go for it.
No. Mm-mm.
yeah, I put in the thing in the chat our email address to email us if you have any questions. Because like I want to remind everybody that like part of this is not just us talking about our stuff. Like
Mhm.
we are talking about it because we want to give different perspectives and we want people to be like, oh wow, I can relate to that and maybe get something from it. But we also want to hear from people, like whether it's a question that they just want to answer to, or if they want to share their story. Like we are very interested in hearing, experiences and stories from other people. So I just
Absolutely.
want to put that out there. Again, because this is not just like this is supposed to be like a whole community. So I just want people to
Embrace
remember
the
that
space.
it's all of us.
Yeah.
What did you say?
I said embrace the space.
Embrace the space.
I'm just creating branding, you know.
That's right.
Sorry, Amber.
I don't
I
care.
perpetually interrupt, okay?
Yeah, Melissa, we're gonna have to like mute you. We need
I'm
like
like,
a Howard. No, I'm just kidding.
I really want to just like for some reason my sarcastic commentary is really vibing on this tonight.
Hey,
Like,
that's okay. I
I
feel like,
love sarcastic. Yeah.
yeah, I feel like too, just to like bring it back, I feel like as far as it goes with like doing this in an authentic way, it is, I've learned tonight, I'm not going to say the things right.
no,
Yeah.
I'm not going to and this is like this is my stuff though. It's like I want to overperform. I want to overdeliver. I want to come as my best all the time with stuff like this. Like when it because it feels like this is like high stakes. You know what I mean? And this is like it matters to me. And I think that's why, I want to do that. And it's just, this is humanity. You're
Yeah,
just going to show up how you are. And that's
exactly.
enough. And that's fine. And if you say the wrong things, who cares?
And
You
there
know
is
what I
no, I
mean?
mean, really, there is no wrong thing. I mean,
But you know what I mean? Like,
maybe,
my
but
phrasing could be totally better. And I could like find the legalese PC way to say what I'm trying to say that everybody gets. You know what I
yeah.
mean? But like the reality of
But
it
it,
is,
yeah.
is that I fumble my words and I don't know what. Oh, there's a dog.
I know
I
I
know.
can see, I can see Mash
The
Needs in
perfect
the background.
timing. The perfect timing. But you know
She's
what I mean? Like,
cute.
we're humans. And I think, honestly, reflecting on that, that is what we want to bring. And what we've
Yes,
tried to bring
absolutely.
to this podcast is just like, this is us. And we don't know everything, we don't have it all figured out.
Not
We're
at
No
all.
still
one
going through
does.
these things. It's a lifelong journey. Welcome.
Yeah, if
Right.
we're just coming with it, like how, with our own experiences and hoping to, have conversations and
Yeah.
bring more awareness, help people if it helps. Even just like you said earlier, like one person, that's literally always been my thing. Like if I can help one person, then I feel
Yeah.
good about what I'm doing.
Yeah. Exactly. And knowing that like anyone cares and is watching,
Exactly.
would
Yeah.
have
Thank
made
you.
that would have
I
made
know. Thank you.
such but like when I was really going through it, I would sit there and it's like 3 a.m. and I'm just like terrified of nothing. I would have loved to have something like this. Do you know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Yeah.
Where, yes, I have, my sister, I have my husband, I have people in my life who are close that I can rely on and talk to when things are rough and when things are great. But it's stuff like this that would have been really helpful just to know that there's other people who like don't have it figured out and we're all just like here.
Let's
Yeah.
talk about
Well, and
it.
especially now with everything, I mean, people are just having a hard time. I think we're all struggling in our own ways. So I think it's
Yeah.
really important right now, especially to come together and just kind of be a support system and try to, like, we're all just trying to get through this life, like, the best
Yeah.
we can and
Yeah, and not like
stay
a cat like
together.
hanging on by the skin of its teeth. Like we're trying to like make something
Yeah,
semi resembling happy.
yeah,
Well, and
exactly.
it's
Yeah.
so fun too because I feel like I mean, yes, we're all coaches, but we all we do have very different takes on some things. Like,
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
and that's I don't
Yeah.
know, it's been really interesting to kind of see even just in the last two episodes, like this episode and last one, like how we kind of approach things a little bit differently. And how our value systems are just a smidge different. Like we all have shared values, of course, but
Yeah.
like you can see that how you're going to find probably somebody in this group that you can connect with and that you
Mhm.
can relate with. And because we do have those differences in ourselves,
Yeah.
in our like
Mhm.
in the way we present, even. So I
Yeah,
love
totally.
it. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Do we want to do another question?
I think so. Can
Do we
we
have any friends or from the chat?
what'd you say?
Do we have any friends?
Do we have any friends that want to
Do
ask
I
us
have
questions?
do I have one friend?
One question. Does anybody have any questions? We want to hear
Well,
from
I
you. You don't have to email. You can just put it in the chat. If you do have a question, feel free to um, yeah, just put it in. Or if you have a comment, it doesn't have to be a question. Um, just as
Yeah,
long as people are nice
comments
and
are good.
respectful towards each other because we are dealing with sensitive subjects.
Absolutely.
well, I have a question.
Okay, let's hear your question.
Okay.
Way to
I'm
go,
ready.
sarcasm. Oh.
No, I was
Let's
I
hear this
wasn't actually
one.
being sarcastic that time.
Here we go.
My bad.
I'm messing. Um, okay, so we've talked kind of like hinted around, like we talked about breathing exercises. We talked about, little like what of the coping mechanisms that are out there that you're aware of, that you've delved into, like what is a good one that was like your kind of tried and true when you were like really going through it, when you were like in the depths of it? What's one thing that like really kind of like helped you either get centered or like come out of the spiral, or like what was your thing, if you had one?
Okay, mine's kind of weird, but it kind of
No,
came naturally.
just kidding.
Figures. And no, um okay, so I just when I am stressed out and like really overwhelmed, pacing and snapping,
Oh, I do that too. That's
it
so weird.
really like taking deep breaths, pacing and snapping all at the same time.
Hmm.
Like it could be a 5 foot pace, okay? Just like, okay, I gotta get some of that energy out. Like I gotta move. I'm pissed off. I'm gonna take some breaths and just keep going. Either that one was pretty good, or um doing the 5 things you can see, 4 things you can
Ugh,
hear, 3 things you
hate
can
that one.
I know, but it works so well.
Wait, what is
For,
it?
yeah, I was gonna say, for those that could not hear over my exaggerated
Disgust.
retching, yes, it's 5 things you, what is it? 5 things you can see,
Yeah, 5 things you
Oh,
can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can smell, 2 things you can. No, sorry.
Two things you
It,
can smell.
it's 3 things you can touch, 2 things you
And
can
then
smell,
one
one
thing that
thing
you
you
can
can
taste.
taste.
that can help a lot though when you are really dealing with some anxiety. I've done it and I actually always forget like
Me
how
too.
many numbers of wait, how many is it? But then when I'm thinking about it, then it's like I'm still distracting myself. So it works.
Yes, and it's good for dissociation. So like if you're somebody who is like, mildly can just like overly daydream, on the more severe end can like see life outside your own body.
Yeah.
That can help bring you back into your body, into the present moment and kind of like get you more embodied.
Mhm.
What were you gonna say, Mel?
Oh, another one. Okay, this one is straight from my therapist, but
Okay.
um think okay, how do I make this happen? Okay, I'm going to give you the scenario, right? So, my therapist and I were in session, and she had me close my eyes and imagine warmth
Hmm.
somewhere in my body,
Mm-hmm.
and imagine the most peaceful place that you can possibly think of. Like, it can be anything that is meaningful to you, things that bring
Mm-hmm.
you joy, things that you find peace in,
Mm-hmm.
and create the entire scene of it. Like, what kind of animals are there, if there are any? What kind of scenery is there? Is there water? Are there trees? Is there sand? You want to think like into the minutia
Hmm.
Mm.
and focus on that specific place while finding that warmth in your body.
Okay.
And then once you have that place, you give it a name. You can name it whatever comes to your mind. Mine happened to be Ethiopia. I don't know why. It did not look like Ethiopia.
Interesting.
It was just the first thing that popped in my head. Um,
Okay.
but once you find that place in that center of warmth, you have now created basically an internal structure of where it exists,
Hmm.
and you can find it again.
Yeah, yeah. It's like
So,
container or like what have you.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, your safe space.
exactly. Your safe space in your container. And being able to go to that place, especially when I'm in need of validation for myself or like feeling really harsh on myself, that
Mm,
place is really good. It's not great for when I'm like panicking or like super stressed
right.
out.
Yeah.
The other techniques are better for that. This one is really good for when I am feeling really shitty about myself and I
Mm,
need to find some goodness within me. Uh,
mm,
because you're already kind of down and
yeah.
like deactivated in that scenario. So it's not like you're having to, it's just a different focus skill
Yeah.
for me personally. But
Those are really interesting. Thank you so much. Amber, do you have any that you use?
So are these like supposed to be like tech like um what's the word? Like is it anything that we can
Yeah.
like okay, because like I'm thinking of something that's like it's not a traditional like something a therapist would tell you to do. It's just
my
Okay.
snapping and pacing just happened naturally.
Yeah.
oh that's true.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's gonna sound weird because I know it sounds weird to a lot of people, but so when I am, it's usually when I'm like really irritated or like um just like more in the zone or not anger, but like just like frustration. I really like hard rock metal music and I love to blast it. Like I just like to like rock out and like it's like a way to get like that energy out. And even
Yeah.
better, going to the concerts is like I joke that it's my therapy.
Yeah.
Which I haven't gone in a while, but I one of my favorite bands I'll say is Breaking Benjamin. And
Oh, they're
um
great.
yeah, and I've seen
We
them live
bonded over
like
that.
6 times now.
Oh
And
wow,
I
that's
call it my
awesome.
therapy when I get to go. I'm like, it's my therapy. I get to like, chill, like I get to unwind and I get to like scream these lyrics that like
Yeah,
I don't know, there's just something like good, like it just releases something. So that's one
yeah,
thing
it
I
does.
which have you guys ever seen the show is it Dead to Me? The
Yes,
It's Christina Applegate and
yes.
yeah, so she does that in that show. She like goes out to her car and
Hmm.
she like blasts this like heavy metal like and
Hmm.
I was like, yes, that is like so me right there. But
Like, I
I
need to
don't
Yeah,
do this
know.
more often.
absolutely.
There's just something
Yeah,
about it, but that's one thing I do.
yeah. Music is so
You-
powerful
Yeah.
because it really like depends on what kind of music and what mood you're in, but it can really like amplify or like like get you
Yeah.
to feel feelings. Like that's what I was something that I did when I was trying to access my emotions was that I would play like really sad music or I would watch like really sad movies
Yep.
because then I could like I would so this was like suggested to me is like to like bring out the emotion that you feel because I'm really empathetic. I'm really good at emotion, just not for me. So like empathizing with the character and then thinking about, you know what I mean? Like what,
Yep.
how that relates to me or where I see that in myself or what
I
have you.
also do that too. Because it's a
Yeah.
yeah, it's like it's something. And yeah, I was gonna say like it applies not only to like when I'm frustrated, but like yeah, being like listening to sad music. But I also do that like watch sad movies sometimes. And it's just like a way to like get that energy and like focus it somewhere
Yeah.
that's like maybe not on yourself at that point, so you don't ruminate and just like drive yourself crazy. And you're like, at least like I'm gonna be sad, but I'm gonna focus it on this like, and
Yeah.
then it just feels better to do that.
Can
Yeah.
I
It's
say
cathartic.
Yeah.
Hmm.
it's in tandem with this? That's the only
Hmm.
reason. Okay. Crying, like if you feel like you need to cry, right? Cry as hard as you can.
Oh, okay.
Like, feel ridiculous about it. Cry.
Interesting.
That's a
Like,
hard
don't
one.
try to hold it back. Like, because a lot of us sit there and we're like, you
Oh,
know,
I'm silent. I'm just
right?
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
I'm
I'm
like,
full body cry. Like,
interesting.
that sounds
feel crazy and
scary.
do it for about 6 minutes.
And do it in the middle of a store
Hmm.
just randomly.
Maybe
Do it
not
while
that,
you're driving. You can't see anything. You
I'm
crash into
just
your car. Yeah.
but I'm just saying, like, okay, if you
oh.
cry as hard as you can and you just like feel into that cry for a good 6 minutes, you're going to be exhausted.
Oh, that's true.
Interesting.
It's
That's a
going to
good
feel great.
point.
It's going to be so
Hmm.
You're like,
cathartic.
now I'm ready for a nap.
Yep. You're going to need a nap
Hmm.
and you're going to get the restorative energy that you need. And then you're going to wake up again.
Hmm.
Margaret, you did remind me
I'll
when
try
I
that.
was in high school, especially, but when I was younger, um, a young adult, and I would go on drives a lot. Like when I was
Oh,
really just upset, like that was
oh
one
yeah.
of my ways. I would now, but I don't. Me and my husband share a car, and it's just not as feasible right now. But that was
Yeah.
one thing I loved, just like going on a drive. I would go drive down the freeway. There were like back roads, that I would go
Hmm.
down regularly and listen to music, and that's where I would like, yeah, cry and just I don't know. I love that, but I haven't been able to do it as much. But that was another thing that just helped me just
Absolutely. A
drive.
good drive. I know my husband agrees, like nothing like it. When you're just like either good or bad, it's like good,
Yeah.
you're just like, yeah, like you're just
Yep.
living your, American Idol life in there. But then like otherwise, you're like, get out of my way because I'm coming.
Move.
You know what
Okay.
I mean?
Yeah.
I have a legit question because I feel like a weirdo
A
sometimes.
queerdo?
A weirdo. Yeah, that's fine. Uh,
I love that.
I meant a
You
weirdo.
take a new word.
But
Okay.
okay, do you guys ever just sit in your car in silence and drive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God, now I die for silence.
I'm
I
like,
didn't used to, but I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the number of people that I have told that I'll do an hour drive in silence, they're like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, it's
Hmm.
perfectly normal. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but okay,
And
that makes
I used to be the girl who would like it when I was studying for nursing school, like I would have my earbuds in, I'm listening to music, I have something on my like computer, I'm watching a show and I'm studying. Like I was like my husband calls it like stim maxing. Like I just had to have all the things happening. Do you know what I mean? As I began my trauma recovery journey, I was challenged by my therapist to sit in silence and to see what came up. Well, a lot.
yeah.
Spoiler alert. And so as I've become, gone through the journey, now, first of all, toddlers, you need silence. But also it's just nice to like enjoy my own company now. It's
Yeah.
nice to just want to hang out with me. Like sometimes my husband, like he's very much like a gearhead and he likes to go and do his own thing. So I'm like, bye, love you. Like, I'll see you later because
Yeah.
I'm gonna like cuddle up with my heated blanket, put my comfy cozies on. I'm gonna watch Housewives. I'm gonna sit there with
Ah,
my snack, and I'm just like in hog heaven. You know what I mean? So it's funny how things change over time.
For sure. I used to not. I've always actually been semi okay with like silence, but I'm definitely way more comfortable with it now. And but I think that's part of why a lot of people today, especially like younger like people, they because of like, social media, you got TikTok, you're listening to music, you're listening to friends, talking to friends, like FaceTiming, like doing all these
Hmm.
things at once. So it's like ultimately it's a lot of distractions. So like when
Yeah.
you have to when you're forced to actually sit in silence, it gets super uncomfortable, and I think they just don't know what to do with it. And then also, yeah, a lot of times it can bring up a lot of uncomfortable things that then you're like, okay, I don't have a distraction now away from this. So it just becomes hard to do that. I will be right back. I have to let in my dog real quick.
Okay. Oh, I wanted to add too. So we talked about coping mechanisms and things that helped hurt, didn't like, whatever, whatever. And I told you, I said, don't come for my breathing exercises.
yes. I came for your breathing exercises.
You did. Those, I'm telling you. Now you said the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? That one did not, because when I was in the height of my anxiety, I was like, I can't even put that many thoughts together. Like it was just way too much. But
Yeah.
like the breathing of just like inhale for 4, pause for 4, breathe out for 4, hold for 4,
Oh,
and
the
just
box
like
breathing? Yeah.
box breathing, life changing, life changing. It got me out of anxiety attacks, and my anxiety attacks were also silent. My panic attacks are silent. So like nobody knows. It's not like it's like I'm just sitting like I'm dying. I'm dying. And it's just total panic. So that was really helpful. Also, I was gonna ask you with the pacing and the snapping, you have to be like a walking conversationist? Are you a walking conversationist? Like when you talk on the phone, are you anywhere but still?
No, actually.
What?
I can't, okay. I am moving a lot, but I'm not
Yeah.
generally walking. Usually I'm like
Okay.
playing with something or like I'm,
Hmm.
fucking around with something on the table or like maybe I'll get up to
Hmm.
go do something real quick and then I'll come back, but like I'm not constantly walking around when I do it. Uh,
Oh, interesting.
but I used to like to drive and talk a lot though.
Hmm.
I used to have
Yeah.
a an hour commute each way.
Oh yeah.
And so phone calls both
Oh
ways.
yeah. Oh yeah. Me too. I could talk on the phone and drive all day long. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm definitely like like a walking. I'm like washing dishes, I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm doing laundry while we're on the phone. Like I'm doing it all. And yeah, I'm sure it just sounds like things slamming and hitting and like the pots and the pans are going, but I love it. It's like I don't know.
So you know
Access is
what?
the different part.
What happens though is if I do that, I'm not listening.
Mm-hmm.
I found out. Like if I'm like I can play with something in my hands and listen, but if I'm like doing a task, I'm gone.
I can attest to that
Yeah,
because when
interesting.
I was meeting with you that one time and you're dealing with your printer, and I was like, bitch, I feel like I'm sitting here talking to myself. Like, she's like, mm-hmm. Or she'd just be quiet. I'm like, you could at least like nod your head and pretend. Like,
And this is the real,
Unfortunately,
folks. This is the real. Under the bus she went.
I am so task oriented. Like
yeah,
if I have a task in front of me, nothing else exists.
not
Unfortunately.
multitask. Um, just one task, right?
Yeah, just one task. If I'm
Just the
multitask,
one.
like if I was doing something related to what we were doing, like what we were talking about, that's different. I could talk to you
Mm.
about something that I was working on and have a conversation while working on it. But if I am like, I must get this printer done right now and we're trying to talk, no, I'm 100% my dad.
That's okay. I didn't take offense to it. I just had to point out that I have experienced that firsthand.
Everybody's experienced that firsthand, unfortunately.
I have one more question for you all, and then I think we
Yes,
should it would be wise if we wrapped up for the evening.
Yeah.
But
agreed.
my last question, when I when I learned about trauma and going through this whole thing, I kept stumbling upon the same thing of like everything that I would do or everything that I thought or everything that I acted on was a trauma response or was because of my childhood trauma or was because of this or that thing that had happened. How did you guys run into that in your experience? Because my husband and I laugh at each other, like where we're like, oh yeah, well it's because of your ADHD, and it's because of your ADHD, and it's because of childhood trauma, and it's because of this and this and this. Like, did you run into that? How did that show up for you? And what did you do?
I feel like yes. Look, I think that it showed up for me a lot, in a lot of different ways. Like, I didn't realize how much. Okay, so I struggle with perfectionism and I struggle with ADHD at the same time. But like, those are two separate courses, okay? They have two different motivations and two separate paths. And it took me a while to realize that both of those are part of my trauma response. Like they're just on opposite ends. And then also just like not realizing to how much of like food stuff was an issue, how
Oh
much
yeah.
uh like cleaning was an issue, like and why. And like I always just thought it was something, like I said, wrong with me, but it turns out that a lot of it is because I've created these pathways around averting it, you know? And
Yeah.
so, I mean, it was definitely like it, I even still now, I'm like, aha, you know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Same.
that's what that's from. Because you start to also relate like the stories and the beliefs that you tell, like that you've held for a really
Oh
long
yeah.
time to that. So I think that you start just correlating more and more as time goes on.
Oh, it's totally Charlie Day with the red string and the cigarette hanging out of his mouth and like like this goes to this
100%.
and this goes to that and then it goes over, it's totally that. Absolutely. Yeah.
What about you,
What about
Amber?
you, Amber? Yeah.
What was the question?
So like I don't know how to phrase it in a short way, but when you think about trauma and how it shows up in your life, like I realized as I went on that like everything I did, not everything, but a lot of things that I did were a trauma response or were, you know,
You thought like, so was it you knew at the time or was it more of a you
no, I
thought
found out after the fact. Like how, like for example, in my life, like lots of nurses have trauma
yeah,
and it's
I
because we
would
have
agree.
a need or I should say, I had a need to want to help people because I couldn't help myself, right? Like, so in that, that's like an example. Or like, you know, this or that thing would show up in my life and I would be like, oh, that's trauma, or that's from my childhood, or this and this. Like, did that happen for you? Are you still discovering that? Like
I think
how,
it's probably more so now, actually. I really think I was pretty blind to it all before. Like I wasn't
right?
aware.
Absolutely.
So I think that's more of a newer thing, having like understood trauma and stuff more.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, well, that's why I asked, because I can look back at things and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Um, but at the time, I don't know, I never, I guess I just,
You didn't
I
think
don't
about it.
know. I,
I
yeah,
totally get
Yeah.
what you mean.
it just
Like,
wasn't a thing. So, um, yeah, I think a lot of things, there's a lot of things that I mean, I don't know. I guess ways like also just ways that you interact with people and stuff, I think is a big thing
Yeah.
for me. That has been affected, for better and for worse, like, you know, but yeah, I don't know. It wasn't really a thing for me before. I just really didn't think about it. I guess I tried not to. I'm definitely somebody who like tries to like not, or in the past has really tried not to think of things or avoid it.
Sure.
So it's been more in the more recent years that I'm really like trying to figure those things out and, you know, adjust where I need to, or at least be aware, right? Like being aware
yeah.
makes such a difference when you're like, okay, I get why I'm doing that. And then you can think about it. Or, yeah.
Well, and I feel like for me, I had no idea for a long time either. I think that it was very much a like I didn't recognize it. I didn't recognize it. I started uncovering things. Boom, everything. Like,
Yes.
and then because you once you like start to understand how, I guess once you start to understand how behaviors occur, you start tracing them back to their origin. And
Yes.
so then it just starts to make more and more sense as time goes on. But I think if you're not like in that place and you're healing it where you've done any of that work, like you don't, you're just you. Like
Yeah.
you think
It's
whatever
that
you think
time
about you at that time.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the time before. Like what I say, like you can't, you get to a point where you like you can't go back. It just there was the before times and then there's
Yep.
the now,
Right.
and it's just that's how it is. But that's really it's see again, it's really interesting seeing the different perspectives of everybody and kind of like where we're all at. It's really neat, really really
I'm
cool.
really something that I kind of want to talk about next time is metacognition.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
yeah. Thinking
think
about
that's,
thinking.
yeah,
Oh
I
boy.
think that that would be a fun topic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The great thing and the slightly depressing thing is that when you're talking about trauma, there's so many things to speak on because it is huge, first of all, and ever evolving. It's always, you're finding new layers to the onion.
Absolutely.
Definitely. And I just want to say really quick, because I got a little like distracted. Because I also I think I gave myself too much credit before when I was younger. I thought I could multitask really well. And I think I can sometimes, but I don't know, maybe not as much as I thought. But like, because my mom said great job in the chat. So I said,
Well, thanks.
so then I was like, oh hey, she's
Thank
here.
you.
So yeah, I just want to say hi to my mom.
Oh, hi, Mom.
But
Hey.
Hi,
also
Mom.
explain that like, yeah, I think I get distracted easier than
That's okay. We all have
hey,
ADHD. We're all just on a
that's
floating
true.
rock.
Yep.
Throwing me under the bus.
Yeah, boom, boom, boom.
Rude.
There you go.
I'm sorry. Maybe that maybe it's a projection. I'm
There you
like
Yes.
go. There you go.
We
I'm
could
like
talk more about that.
we
Oh
should
yeah.
projection is a thing.
Yeah,
That could
tune in next week.
there you go.
Right? Projection, metacognition, got it.
Yes.
And
So
then
I
again,
just oh go ahead.
oh sorry, I was just gonna say again, if anybody has any questions or wants to, share their story or experience, please email us or be in the chat. We definitely want to hear from everybody. So it's not just about us. It's definitely, we're trying to start conversations, but like we really want to hear from everybody else too. So
Absolutely.
want to put that out there?
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll probably have to hit us up in that email. We're about to close, but I just wanted to
Oh
thank
yeah.
you
Yes.
both and thank everybody who watched and who's going to watch. Hopefully you got some nuggets here and there. And if you didn't, you just listen to three women ramble. That's also cool.
Yep.
Um,
Still thank you.
here we are.
We appreciate
We're
it.
yes, we're just trying to do what we can to help people and help ourselves in the process. So, all the things, hit the like button, subscribe, comment, whatever you do. I'm not a social media person. I don't
Share
know. Hit all the buttons and
all the
All of
buttons.
them.
all the buttons. And we will see you same time next week.
Yes.
Yep. Thank you for
Next week.
watching the Trauma Triple Take. I did also want to just throw this in at the end since I did not throw it in at the beginning. We are not therapists. We are not doctors. We are trauma recovery coaches who are here offering our opinions based on our own experiences for entertainment purposes only.
Yeah.
So take that knowledge with what you will and go out into the world. Thank you so much for watching.